COVID-19 vaccines?
Thank you. First I want to thank Dr. Fenoy because after I posted this discussion item last week, then I see Dr. Fenoy sent a letter, as has been mentioned, to the governor yesterday, asking to prioritize our employees. So I just want to make at least what I think is a clarification. So in this letter, it talks about educators whose dedication allows our campuses to remain open, and then it's a request to have all school district employees be classified as essential workers. And then it goes on later to make mention of those who have direct student contact. So when I initially posted my discussion item, I asked that we advocate to prioritize, I think I called it school-based staff. And after I thought about it, I changed it to staff with direct student contact because I'm really clear, as I've said before here, that the bus drivers are in the highest risk position. And so I just hope that as this advocacy moves forward and whichever direction we need to take it, and I'm looking for guidance on that, that we say staff that have, or employees, since Ms. McQuinn doesn't like staff, so employees with direct student contact is the ask, and not to have any desire to put anybody else in a harmful situation, but in order for us to, get back to whatever normal's going to be, and to have our employees as well as students more comfortable with returning to brick and mortar, that's who has to be prioritized. And for example, not the people who spend their days in this building, for example. Those with direct contact with students is my ask. Thank you.
Vice Chairwoman Brew.
Thank you, and I so appreciated your item, and I was positive that you were including the bus drivers and other student-facing employees, because how can we get our students back into the schools and have our staff feel secure if they don't get protected? So my ask, though, is that to the superintendent, I think we need to have a presence at the county commission meetings also to make sure and see if we can get them on board to work with us also in advocating for our school district, because we need to work together on this, and it impacts everybody in Palm Beach County. Thank you.
Ms. Ayala.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was really appreciative that Dr. Robinson put this on our agenda today, and I wanted to share some news that I received from, funny enough, Commissioner Melissa McKinley, news out of Leon County. Leon County schools who are 65 or older on beginning Saturday will have a chance to get the first dose of the vaccine. And that is a move that was decided at their meeting on Tuesday night. So I think that we're Palm Beach County. We're the best. So let's make sure that we're doing everything we can to get to that level. The superintendent's letter being sent was an amazing first step, and I'm very grateful for that. And I've shared it and got an incredible response from our community on sharing that we have a stance that our teachers, as well as our staff, it is a critical piece that we do not leave them out. Our bus drivers, my mother being one, are at the front line. So we need to take care of all of our staff cohesively. And I think that looking at the Leon County model, I don't want to just leave it to 65 and older. All of our teachers and staff deserve an opportunity, given that they're in front of our children and providing a service that is irreplaceable. So I'd like to follow the lead at this point and make sure that we're leading on this throughout the state, as we're trying to do, as long as we can get the help from the state to do that. Any advocacy that we can get in that aid will be helpful. So I know that our county commission, having received this from one of them, is on board with that as well.
Mrs. Andrews.
Thank you. And I too, Dr. Robinson, was happy to see this. And I've spoken to Dr. Fenoy quite a bit on this topic over the last few weeks, so I was glad it was here. And I like what Mr. Katz has said today, that, we need to develop our own plan. We're the largest employer here in Palm Beach County School District, in Palm Beach County. And we need to develop our own plan as to how it would work for us. Certainly the ideas that you've been saying here as board members today sound good as to who would be first and whatever. but we should develop our own plan. I've been out in the Glades region for the last few days and weeks, and Melissa McKinley, who is the county commissioner, has really mobilized the Glades area where we have people coming from all over getting the vaccines. And I'm on a call tomorrow with the elected leadership from the western communities, which include Wellington, Royal, Palm Beach, Loxahatchee, Acreage, and so on, with Dr. Alonzo about what is the plan of action. So we need to go head on and get in touch with the governor. I think we need to work with Broward, Miami-Dade. I don't know what's happening here, but we've got to put some pressure on. The Superintendents Association, Dr. Fenoy, I don't know if they have sent a letter. I think it's always power in numbers. The Florida School Boards Association, all of us need to be coming together saying that this is a priority. We have a teacher shortage. We're actually using substitutes right now to teach our children. We know academic instruction has faltered based on us not being able to have the teachers we need to do the job that they can do because of simultaneous teaching and all of the things that they have to do now. So we need to come up with our own Palm Beach County plan and submit it to the governor as to how it would look for vaccinations for us. We got enough schools and buildings to do what we need to do. Let's get the vaccines here. So Dr. Fenoy, is there something that you could kind of work on other than just the letter? I love the letter, but come up with a plan?
Not at this time. We want to call this morning with the entire delegation. And so next week I will talk to the board about what, you will hear some of this tomorrow when Dr. Alonzo speaks. We talked for about 2 hours this morning about this. Our school police department, Chief Kitzrow, has been part of the planning exercises. However, right now the governor's stance is very clear. You know, our residents that are 65 or older are first priority. But to be perfectly honest with you, the biggest issue is just the supply chain. That is the issue. So until there's even enough tests to be in the county, there's nothing else really to do beyond that. You know, and so there's still, based on what I heard this morning, because we talked about this for like an hour and a half this morning with all the local delegation, and I'm sure it'll come up when we have our joint session. Right now, there's just a lot of hiccups just within the 65 and older population getting it to them, and I'm sure you've all heard that in your own neighborhoods. And so we are a part of a contingency plan that Chief Kitzrow and his team has worked out with the county. But again, we don't even have the refrigeration to hold vaccines. There's just so many other details. And then the reality of, the chairman and I, when we were talking on our one-on-one today, the supply that is here, some of it has to be held because some of y'all have to go back in a couple of weeks to get the second one. So there's a whole lot, so again, I know more than probably Moses because I was on that call today, but it is an issue. It is a big issue across this country, just having enough supply to even do it. So the great news is, though, the county, again, has been a great partner with us. I'm very fortunate to be on those calls and hear the realities of it. But our local officials that work in Tallahassee know very clear what the issues are, and we spent a long time this morning discussing that in terms from the school and from the county perspective.
Mrs. McQuinn is trying to speak.
Ms. McQuinn, thank you.
Thank you. I've added a few things in my mind since everyone's been speaking. I am going to make my own statement that is specific to Barbara McQuinn, not part of anything else. First of all, I appreciate Dr. Fenoy going ahead and sending the letter because I know that there is political pressure not to do that. Our governor mandated that we open our schools. And we've told our employees, you go back to schools. It simply defies all logic that our governor has not made our students who have to, our employees with direct student contact a priority for vaccinations. And for me, I hear on the news that yes, we're holding back, meaning I guess the state and the federal government are holding back for the second injection, all of those pieces. I still want the plan. I want a plan if we get it, and what we don't have in place, why we can't have a plan. So I've been telling my friends and family for a few weeks now, they're dismayed for me to say it, but I feel real strongly about it, that I meet the criteria I'm 73, I have an autoimmune disease. I can sign up to get an injection if the vaccine ever becomes available again. I'm not going to do that until our employees who have direct student contact, who have been mandated by us to go back to work because our governor has mandated we open our schools, I'm not going to get an injection because right now I can work from home, cold or not. I can work from home for a while. I can isolate myself. Our employees that we've referenced cannot. So again, if we could have a plan, if the plan is nothing more than, here's why we can't have a plan. I'd like for something to come to us in writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McQuinn. Go ahead, Ms. Whitfield.
Thank you. I was just thinking, at least we could reach out to the health department and let them know that our sites would be available if they wanted locations for distributing the vaccines. I feel like anything we can do to help our staff, absolutely anything that we can do, because we know we're about to have a bunch more kids come back, which means we need a bunch more staff to come back. And I know this is going to make people feel more comfortable and keep people safe.
Ms. Whitfield, they actually have that list. Like I stated, Chief Kitcher was part of that design team. So I knew about the contingency plans to use our schools months ago. Again, there's no need to activate it because there's no test to give. So we actually have that in place, and I'll circle back with Chief Kitcher on Friday because we also have to talk about the inauguration, and I can bring some details to you guys next week.
Dr. Robinson.
Okay, so I was gonna actually say something similar to what Mrs. Whitfield just said. We need to work with the healthcare district so that our school nurses, and so right now, you know, the governor's rule is 65 and older, so it seems to me that the healthcare district should work with us so we can now vaccinate any student-facing staff that are 65 and older, right? Like that's now. And I get all the supply chain problems, but there's not supply chain problems in certain areas, okay? And let me tell you what else. So I'm sorry, this is what was burning me up yesterday. There's also inequities related to the monoclonal antibody. So I'm gonna just put it out there. If anybody tests positive and you're interested in monoclonal antibody, ask me and I will tell you who has it, because the hospitals in my neighborhood don't, okay? So this is just inequity on top of inequity on top of inequity. And we must step in and say that we're going to do everything we can to make sure that our student-facing employees get vaccinated as soon as possible, should they desire. I'm not trying to mandate, right? So right now, 65 and older can get vaccinated by the rules that exist. And so we need to contact healthcare district and health department and say, bring it over here and start vaccinating our 65 and older school-based employees.
Okay, if there's no more comments, we'll finish up that discussion item and move to the next. And it was mine, and it's just a question, we discussed possibly getting the FSBA to come back down and do master board training for us. If you are all in favor, I'll get it on the agenda for next week so that we can vote on it. Ms. Burrow?
Thank you. Yes, I think that we all agree. But the one request I would have is that when we do this, and I believe that she's willing to do it, that we request Executive Director Andrea Messina, because she worked with this board before. I know we have some new board members, but she knows this district very well. And I know that April did a great job, but I think that Andrea has more experience with us, so I would recommend her.
Any other comments? Dr. Robinson?
Okay, so somewhere I saw something, and I'm asking Ms. Andrews if she's willing to discuss it, because I saw something somewhere about some training by the Council of Great City Schools that, at least at my glance of it, was similar and would be like, and so I need to be corrected. If it's similar board training, I don't think we need to do both. And so I just need clarification.
Mrs. Andrews?
Yes, it's different. It will come up at a board discussion item for next week. It's Council of Great City Schools Governance Coach Cohort and also Council of Great City School Board Chairman Training. And that's for board chairmans or any school board member, seasoned school board member. It's a little fee involved, and I will make sure that Carol actually give you that information. It'll be discussed next week. And hopefully we'll have some people volunteer to kind of be on that. Now, it's only so many slots nationally, so it's if you want to apply for it, you may not be picked, but it's great. It's great. This is initial training from the Council of Great City Schools. They've never done this kind of training before for board members to be chairman, to help them with that, and also a governance coach cohort for you to go and actually train other board members. So I'll get that information to you, and we'll discuss it more next week.
So let me add, first I have one question. Did they come here, or do we have to go there?
It will be virtual.
Virtual?
Virtual.
Okay, so let me take back my request to put this on the agenda for next week, because that discussion will come after the agenda is finished. So if you're all in favor, I'll ask the superintendent to get it on an agenda for the next meeting after, so that we have the chance to discuss the one
Yes,
that
this is
Mrs. Andrews
good.
brings to us. Dr. Robbins?
Yeah, and when that comes for, if we could do a compare and contrast, because it sounds like maybe there's some overlap, and I just want to know going in before we approve the money. I always enjoy the work done by Council of Great City Schools. So I'm almost predisposed to support that even without knowing the details, but I would like to compare and contrast before we vote on either.
So Mrs. Andrews, if you could work with the board office and come up with that, and then the board office can get the information from FSBA, so we could do that, and then as soon as we have the opportunity to review all that, then we'll bring it back as a board voting item.
Absolutely, because the big thing with FSBA, everybody participates with this new initial rollout from Council of Great City Schools. None of us could be selected, but all of us could apply for it so that somebody might be able to get recommended from Palm Beach County. And it is a fee of $1,000, but we have staff development funds to pay for that. But this is something that talks about these big urban districts, 72 of them across the nation. You would be trained on how to be a school board chair, on how to deal with big urban districts, as well as learn to be a governance coach to help other big urban districts. Now, the Florida School Board's piece is more about making sure that we all get trained under the model based on things like this, but from the state of Florida's viewpoint.
All right, the next discussion item is Mrs. Andrews, Glades Career Readiness Roundtable Legislative Funding Request.
Thank you, and I did give everybody a folder. You should have gotten a folder for the Glades Career Readiness Roundtable. It's a dark black folder that looks like this. I'd like for you to maybe pull it out. And I have a statement that I'm reading today that came from me as well as from the Glades Career Readiness Roundtable. And it says, I'm asking the school board to support the Glades Career Readiness Roundtable legislative appropriation request for the continuation of the CDL program at West Tech Educational Center in the amount of $426,857. I want to thank the Glades Career Readiness Roundtable, which is a group of community leaders and elected officials in Belle Glade, and the school district's administration for helping us to put this request together. The request was completed after the board approved the annual legislative platform, and that's the time when we would normally do a request like this. But the community was still working on that request with the school district administration as well as with the roundtable. So they couldn't meet our deadline because they were still working through everything. And this is why we're asking for the waiver. The city of Belle Glade said to us, well, we'll try to be your agent since the school board has actually passed their platform. But they're a small city. Pahokee, Belle Glade, South Bay are little ones. And they said, go back and ask your school board to make exception here because the community has been working hard. This is a program that needs to be continued. So support has been gained by the Senator Tina Polsky that represents Belle Glade and Representative Kelly Skidmore from the Glades representative. They all say that this program has to continue. And I must say that when I think about Palm Beach County, we are one of the big urban sevens, but Broward County has a fabulous CDL program within their school district with many trucks. Look at Orange County, we're just a little baby, just starting out at West Tech, which was really successful. Now, this request was presented to the Palm Beach County Legislative Delegation, and we received positive comments. The question was asked, why aren't you asking for more money for West Tech to get more trucks so that you can make this program even larger than what you had before? But we know that we're in economic times right now, and we just want to continue. We want to continue what we started on last year. 30 students graduated from the CDL program. 30 adults now have jobs where they can drive those big trucks. When you look at the Glades region, the unemployment is tremendously high, the highest in Palm Beach County, and we were able to do something about it. I want to thank the governor who gave us the $250,000 funds to get the program started, because we know it's needed. So the legislative delegation said, Ms. Andrews, we love this. We want to come and see West Tech. And on January the 22nd at 9:30, they're coming to do a tour, and I'm inviting all of you to come. But I know that we have turned our legislative requests in, our platform in, and I'm asking you to add it to it. I want to thank Representative Mike Caruso for requesting the tour. The delegation was really impressed with the presentation that was held in Delray in December. So you've seen the packet. I'm hoping that you will include it.
Mrs. Whitfield?
I just have a question for staff. I know we don't have Mr. Tierney here, but if we were to approve to add this on, would it be effective? Could we have time still to get that up to Tallahassee?
I mean, absolutely. The legislature, we haven't started yet. So again, this is the board's platform. This is not staff's platform. So
Well, in that case, I'm fine with adding it.
And Dr. Fennoy, maybe through Mr. Barbieri, the deadline for the recommendations is not until January the 27th, so there is time to do it. I just think that because we had done our platform, we were told that we had to find other means of getting it. And that's something we need to work on, because if something comes up that we know we can do better, we may not get any money. We are in tough economic times. But if we can put something out there that can help our children and our communities, even if it's past a deadline, we need to go back and revisit it if it's going to help the children and the community. Thank you.
All right, so if you're all in favor, I'll just put it on the agenda for next week, and we can vote on it next week. We can't vote on it tonight because it's not been advertised. Okay, Dr. Robinson, you were next on your board discussion item.
So my board discussion item is quite similar but more nebulous. How about that? Because I actually got a phone call from Senator Powell, who said, aren't you going to ask for more money for planning and developing the Black History Museum that we foresee being developed at the historic Roosevelt High School? And of course I said, yes, but okay, now we got to get going. So the group is working on figuring out what the appropriate request would be. And so my request is that, similar to Mrs. Andrews, that we not just shut it down because it wasn't on the previously approved board legislative platform. The other thing, just so you know, that I am hoping to put to paper and bring forward to you is I'm really fixated on post-COVID. I've brought this up before. We have to put plans in place for accelerating students after we're able to more comfortably be face-to-face. And so I will be putting together a proposal to work with community partners, probably similar to the model from some years ago of the Weekend Warriors. And I don't know if anybody remembers that. It was a partnership between the school district and the Urban League, and I think it was 8 churches to provide tutorial services. And so I just put, without even seeing Mrs. Andrews' discussion item, I put this here to say, like, please carve out some space and let me bring forward these recommendations. And so my request would be, if the board agrees that that I get those things drafted, have staff vet them, Dr. Fenoy put his blessing on it and then bring it to the board is what my request would be.
Vice Chair Brew?
Thank you, and so I agree, of course, with both recommendations, and this is why I think our legislative platform has to be fluid, and I think we also have to, before session starts, look at how we present it, because handing over a piece of paper with a huge wish list doesn't do justice to items like what the two of you are discussing, which I think are attainable. You know, I think that, you know, we have our wish list, our grandiose plans, and the things that we really want, but I think we need to find a way to be more effective. I know it's been tough, and it's going to be even harder with COVID, but I welcome that, and maybe we just need to set aside time at the end of our meetings to, again, periodically re-examine it as we go forward, as we get closer to session, and then look at the way we physically put it together. Because, you know, when you hand them a list, the way we hand it to them, the eyes roll, and I don't want your items to be lost in the shuffle.
So Dr. Robinson, since the deadline is the 27th, you're going to have to get that pretty quickly to the,
I'm aware.
okay? So if Dr. Robinson's able to get that to us, and we'll put that on for next week also along with Mrs. Andrews, so that it can be done next week in time for the superintendent to send it all up. Yep. Mrs. Andrews?
And I just have to repeat, I want to thank the legislative delegation of Palm Beach County, because when West Tech had been closed for all of those years, it was Senator Joe Abruzzo and the legislators who came back with that $1.5 million. The community also, the Hill Foundation, they came up with that money. And so each time, and Ms. Brill and all of us that go to Tallahassee, we know that West Tech has been on that list for years to get that funding to get that school moving forward. And I have to thank the school district for really stepping up and getting West Tech where it needs to go. And so we still have our list, but these pieces that Dr. Robinson is talking about and that I'm talking about, the representatives, the legislators, the senators, they want to do this. They said, Ms. Andrews, why are you just asking for such a little bit of money here when you know you have a greater need? And they want to hear these things, these personal things that can help students and help our community. They want to bring the bacon back home. So I want to thank them. And Mike Caruso, Representative Mike Caruso, is awesome. And I hope that you all will come out and be with us on the 22nd. Thank you.
All right, board members, if you have no further discussion, we'll take a motion to adjourn the workshop. Motion by Ms. Ayala, seconded by Mrs. Whitfield. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Workshop is adjourned. Thank you all.
You make sure it's public.